So the National Archives is a state institution and we hold the records of the Irish state, but also we hold historical records. If you think that the state was formed in 1922, we have all of the records for those intervening 100 years. So we tell the story really of Ireland in terms of its development, culturally, socially, politically, historically.
The National Archives is the successor body of two predecessor institutions, the Public Record Office of Ireland, which was established in 1867, based over in the Four Courts complex, and the State Paper Office of Ireland, which functioned out of Dublin Castle and which was established in 1702. Then in 1922, due to explosions in the Four Courts complex, much of the holdings in the Public Record Office of Ireland were destroyed, primarily medieval and early modern records. So from 1922 onwards, from the foundation of the state, the 1920s and 30s were really spent trying to come to terms with the loss of such a huge quantity of records and in effect Ireland's documentary heritage. Both the SPO and the PRO continued as separate entities up until the National Archives Act of 1986, which created the National Archives, which took on or absorbed the functions of the two predecessor bodies. So in the early 1990s, the National Archives moved from the Public Record Office in the Four Courts over to our current premises here in Bishop Street, which was the old Jacob's Biscuit factory.
We have all of the foundation documents from the early days of the establishment of the state. So in the safe downstairs we have the 1921 treaty, but then go forward to 1998 and we have the Good Friday Agreement. In a way, we're telling 100 years of a story, and we're privileged in the National Archives that actually we look after those precious, precious documents on behalf of the Irish state.
Under our foundation legislation, the National Archives Act of 1986, we are legally mandated to acquire the records of departments once they become 30 years old and to make them available for inspection by the public. At the end of every year, records are transferred by government departments to the National Archives. They are listed in an electronic catalogue. The catalogue is made available to search on our website, and the records themselves, which are housed or rehoused in acid-free folders and boxes, are then made available for consultation by the public in early January the following year, and they become part of the official record of state.
So one of the biggest projects we ever did was to digitise the 1911 census, and that was a really, really important project for us because it expanded and developed our genealogical service. People from all over the world now don't have to physically come to the National Archives to access their family histories or to begin to understand where they came from and to find out those stories. They can actually do it sitting in the comfort of their own home online. We also then obviously have a genealogy service here, so people can come into the National Archives and they will work with the genealogist to better understand it, to find records that can trace their ancestral past.
We have a very wide-ranging education and outreach programme which encompasses tours of the building, presentations, going outside of the building to give talks to external groups, engaging with organisations such as local history societies, communities, schools, universities, and through participation in national and international conferences, and also through key collaborations with sister institutions and initiatives. Examples of those would of course be Culture Night, Críocha na nÓg, Heritage Week, Back to Our Past, and so on.
For the National Archives, we're coming into a really exciting period because we hold the foundation documents for the state, and we're coming into 100 years since the foundation of the state. We're going to develop an exhibition as part of the National Commemorations Programme, but we will also be commemorating 100 years since the destruction of the old Public Record Office. So we're working with multiple partners. We're working specifically with Trinity College Dublin and with our colleagues in Northern Ireland in the Public Record Office there to actually reconstruct digitally the Public Record Office as it was in 1921 on the site of the Four Courts.
There has also been a conservation project to literally open up the boxes and untie the parcels of material almost 100 years later to see what is there, to see what can be salvaged, what can be conserved, and ultimately what can be digitised for posterity.
The major project that we have that will be unveiled in June of 2022 will be a new repository. So the state have actually invested millions in building a state-of-the-art new repository that will ensure that we can continue in our role to safeguard the records of the state.
Our collections are very exciting. The National Archives holds an immense trove of records. There is no end to the discoveries and the surprises that you might make in delving into the holdings that we have, and we are here to help you make them.